The alien city buzzed with lights and noise, but no one noticed the girl walking alone through the muddy streets. Her clothes were torn. Her body was covered in bruises. Her eyes, once bright with pride, now looked empty. She walked slowly, barefoot, every step painful. Irina was not just any girl. She used to be a royal, a princess, but now she had no title, no home, and no one to protect her. People stared at her, but did nothing. Some whispered cruel words. Others turned their faces away. On this planet, being weak was dangerous. She looked broken. In the middle of the market, she fell to her knees. Her legs could no longer hold her up. She tried to stand, but her hands slipped on the wet stone road. She lay there, trembling, her skin glowing faintly under the neon lights. Then a human saw her. Cole was running a small food stall nearby. He was not rich. He was not important. But he noticed things others ignored. And today, he saw a wounded alien girl, dirty and shaking. He walked toward her, ignoring the people who said, "Don't get involved." Cole knelt beside her. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked gently. The girl flinched. She didn't answer. She didn't trust him. She didn't trust anyone. Cole placed his jacket over her shoulders. She looked shocked. No one had been kind to her in a long time. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She whispered, "Irina." "Do you need help, Irina?" he asked. She shook her head slowly, her voice barely a whisper. "I don't deserve help." Cole frowned. No one deserves to be on the ground like this. He offered his hand. She stared at it. Her own hands were dirty, trembling. She didn't want to be touched, but she also didn't want to lie in the mud. With great effort, she placed her hand in his. The crowd stared. Some laughed. "Why is a human helping that alien trash?" someone muttered, but Cole didn't care. He lifted her gently and helped her walk. She could barely take 2 steps before collapsing again. Without a word, Cole picked her up in his arms. "You're safe now," he said. She wanted to believe him, but she had been lied to before. She had been used, shamed, and cast out. Could she trust this human? He carried her through the streets, ignoring the looks. Irina wanted to disappear. She buried her face in his chest, hiding her tears. After a few minutes, they reached a small home at the edge of the city. It was not fancy. It was old and quiet, but it was warm. Cole opened the door and stepped inside. He placed her gently on the bed and covered her with a blanket. "I'll get some food," he said, and went to the kitchen. Irina looked around. The room was clean. There were books on the shelf. A photo of a smiling human child stood near the lamp. She felt out of place, like a shadow in a place full of light. Cole returned with a warm bowl of soup and placed it on the table. "Eat when you're ready. No rush." He didn't ask her why she was injured. He didn't ask what she had done to be alone. He just let her be. Irina stared at the soup. Her stomach growled, but she hesitated. In her world, food was never free. Kindness always had a price. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice weak. Cole looked at her with calm eyes. "Because I've been alone before too." That night, she didn't eat much, but she slept. For the first time in days, she wasn't cold. For the first time in weeks, no one shouted at her. She slept in his bed, and Cole, he slept on the floor. When morning came, the city outside was still harsh. But inside that small home, a quiet bond had begun to form between a broken alien girl and a human who refused to walk past her. She didn't know it yet, but this was not the end of her story. It was the beginning. Irina woke up to the soft sound of boiling water. Her body hurt, but the pain felt less sharp than before. A warm blanket covered her. A bandage was wrapped around her arm. The air smelled of herbs and something cooking, something that reminded her of home. Before everything fell apart, she sat up quickly. Her heart raced. Where was she? Her eyes darted around the small room's simple furniture, clean walls, and a single cracked window letting in pale morning light. It was not a prison, but she had been fooled before. She didn't trust this piece. Her eyes fell on a folded jacket by the door, the same jacket the human wrapped around her. Then she remembered the market, the fall, the man. She stood slowly, her legs still weak. Her bare feet touched the floor. No chains, no guards. She limped toward the door. When it opened with a soft creak, she found him standing in the kitchen. Cole, the human who carried her here. He looked surprised but smiled. "You're awake." She said nothing, just stared at him. She was ready to run if he made a move. "I made some soup," he said, "same as last night, but hotter." He placed a bowl on the table and stepped away from it far enough to show he wouldn't come close unless she wanted him to. "I'm not staying," she said, voice flat. "That's okay," Cole replied. "You don't have to." "Why are you helping me?" she asked again, this time with more bite in her tone. "I have nothing. I am nothing." He shrugged. "That's not how I see it." "I don't trust you," she added. "You don't have to," he replied calmly. "You don't owe me anything." Irina stared at the bowl. Steam rose from it, curling gently in the air. Her stomach growled, but she clenched her jaw. She had begged before food, for safety, for mercy. All she got was pain in return. Why should this human be any different? But she was too weak to fight hunger. Slowly, she moved to the chair and picked up the spoon. Her hands trembled, but she didn't drop it. She took one bite, then another, and another. Cole said nothing. He just leaned against the wall, sipping his own cup of tea, giving her space. When she finished, she placed the bowl down gently. "I won't be your pet." Cole's expression didn't change. "You're not, or your servant. You're not that either. Then what am I?" He looked her in the eyes. Someone who needed a place to rest. That's all. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Not her family, not her teachers, not her enemies, and especially not strangers. Her voice softened. "I was supposed to be important once." Cole raised an eyebrow, but didn't ask anything. "But I made one choice, one that others didn't agree with. They called me traitor, threw me out, beat me. I almost died in the alleys." Still, Cole didn't interrupt. He let her speak. She looked down at her hands, dirty and bruised. "They took my name, my honor. I became invisible." There was silence for a moment. Then Cole replied, "I don't care what they called you. You're here now. That's all that matters to me." Irina looked at him. "What kind of human are you?" He chuckled. "A simple one." That night, she didn't run away. She stayed. She didn't speak much, but she cleaned the blanket she had used. She offered to help with dishes. And when Cole gave her the bed again and walked toward the floor, she said quietly, "You don't have to sleep on the ground." He smiled. "That's okay. You need the rest more than I do." Irina sat on the edge of the bed, staring at this strange man, this human who gave without asking, who stayed without question. For the first time in a long while, her eyes didn't feel heavy with fear. She wasn't ready to trust him yet, but she didn't feel alone anymore, and maybe, just maybe, she could stay one more day. Irina had stayed in Cole's house for 2 days now, but her heart was still running. Every sound, every shadow, every footstep made her tense. She was safe on the outside, but inside, she was still trapped in memories she didn't want to face. Cole noticed the way she jumped when a door closed too loudly. He noticed how she never turned her back to the window. He noticed how she barely slept, but he didn't push. He simply made tea and asked, "Want some?" as if nothing was wrong. That morning, Ariana walked slowly into the kitchen. Her steps were careful, almost silent. Cole was cutting vegetables for breakfast. "You're up early," he said with a smile. "I could not sleep," she replied. Cole nodded gently. "Nightmares again?" Arena froze. Her fingers curled tightly. She didn't want to answer. She didn't want to open the door to her past. But her silence was already speaking for her. I do not want to talk about it, she whispered. That's okay, Cole said. You don't have to. But Ariana's eyes told a different story. She wanted to talk. She wanted to scream, but fear locked her voice, so Cole tried something else. Want to help me cook? You don't have to talk. Just help. Arena hesitated, then nodded once. She moved to the counter and started washing the vegetables. Her hands trembled, but she did not stop. The simple act, the quiet kitchen, the warm light, it felt safe. But safety is sometimes the first step to a breakdown. Halfway through chopping, Ariana flinched violently. A loud metallic clatter came from outside a ship engine, backfiring. She dropped the knife, panic rising in her throat. Her breathing became fast. Too fast. Her vision blurred as memories slammed into her mind. A dark room, chains around her wrists, voices shouting traitor, her own people turning their backs. She staggered backward, hands covering her ears. Cole stepped forward slowly. Ariana, it's okay. You're safe. You're here in my kitchen. But she didn't hear him. She grabbed the nearest object, another kitchen knife, and pointed it at him. Don't come near me, she cried. Her whole body shook. Tears streamed down her face. She wasn't threatening him. She was drowning. Cole raised both hands, palms open. His voice was calm, steady, gentle. Arena, it's me, Cole. You're not there. You're not with them. You're here. Her grip loosened, but she didn't drop the knife. Cole didn't step closer. He just kept speaking softly. Whatever happened, you don't have to carry it alone. Arena's breath broke, and finally, the truth she held inside for so long slipped out in a cracked whisper. I was exiled because I saved humans. Cole blinked. You? What? She dropped the knife. It clattered on the floor. She slid down against the wall, her arms wrapped around her knees. There was a border fight, a misunderstanding. A human colony ship crashed near our land. They were scared, hurt, lost. She buried her face in her hands. I helped them. I gave them shelter, water, food. I told my commander they were not soldiers, they were families. Her voice trembled. But my people, they said, I betrayed my blood. They called me a traitor. They beat me. They dragged me through the streets. Cole's chest tightened. He knelt at a respectful distance, not touching her. You did the right thing, he said. No, Ariana cried. My people hated me for it. They took my title, my home, everything. Cole looked into her shaking eyes. Ariana, saving lives is never wrong. Never. She felt her throat close. No one had ever said those words to her. No one had ever seen her choice as anything but shame. Cole slowly reached out, stopping halfway. He didn't force the touch, he offered it. Arena stared at his hand for a long moment. And then, with trembling fingers, she took it. For the first time since her exile, someone held her hand without hitting her or dragging her. She sobbed quietly, and Cole, gentle as always, helped her stand. You're safe here, he said again, and I'm not leaving. Ariana wiped her tears. Her voice was small, but stronger than before. Thank you. Human. Cole smiled softly. My name is Cole. Ariana nodded. Thank you, Cole. She didn't know it yet, but her secret, her shame had just become her strength. And the human who listened, he had just become her anchor. Asterisk, it was the quietest morning Ariana had known in months. Birds chirped on the windowsill. A breeze flowed through the curtains. Cole was sitting on the porch, fixing an old radio with careful hands. Arena stood near the window, watching him, holding a warm cup of tea. Her scars still hurt, but her heart had started healing. She had not smiled in a long time, but yesterday, she almost did. When Cole told her a silly story about his childhood, just when peace started to feel real, a shadow returned. A loud knock shook the door. Cole looked up. Ariana froze. She placed her cup down slowly and stepped back. Her eyes widened in fear. "No one knows I'm here," she whispered. "No one should know." Cole walked to the door cautiously and opened it. A tall alien male stood there, armored and his skin was greenish blue, and on his shoulder was the symbol of House Velder. The royal family was once part of Arena. "Velder," the stranger said without looking at Cole, "you are ordered to return with me." Cole stood in front of the door, blocking the view inside. "You've got the wrong house," he said calmly. The alien's cold gaze moved to him. "I tracked her energy signature. She's inside. I am Captain Drex of Royal Security." Inside, Arena shook her head in panic. No, he can't take me. Not back there." Cole didn't move. "She's not ready to talk to you, and she's not your prisoner." Drex's expression didn't change. "She's a traitor, a royal disgrace, and by law, anyone hiding her will face punishment." Cole crossed his arms. "By human law, you're trespassing." Behind Cole's shoulder, Ariana slowly stepped forward. Her breath was shaking, but her eyes held something new resolve. "I'll speak to him," she said quietly. Cole looked at her. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "I won't hide anymore." Arena stepped into the light. Drex's eyes narrowed. "You're alive." She stood tall, despite the trembling in her knees. "And I am free. Free." Drex scoffed. "You're a disgrace to your bloodline. You helped enemies. You destroyed your family's honor." "No," Ariana said firmly. "I saved innocent lives. You destroyed our name by standing with cruelty." Drex took a step closer. "Come now. If you leave quietly, maybe they won't punish you too harshly." Cole stepped in again. "She's not going with you. She has a choice." Drex's tone darkened. "You are nothing, human. You think you can protect her? Against all of us?" Cole didn't flinch. "I won't let you take her. Not without her will." The air grew heavy. A few neighbors began to gather, drawn by the strange visitor. Among them were other aliens, different species, different faces, all watching silently. Arena's voice rose. "Tell them who I am, Captain. Tell them what I did." Drex paused. His pride wouldn't let him stay quiet. "She's the one who fed human survivors during the border standoff. She gave them shelter. She ignored orders. She chose peace over pride. She is a traitor." A murmur spread through the small crowd, but someone in the back, an old alien woman, spoke clearly. "Sounds more like a hero than a traitor." Another voice added, "She helped the weak. That's not a crime." Drex's face twitched. "This is not your concern." But the voices grew louder. Cole turned to Arena. "You don't need to run anymore." She looked around. Faces she didn't know, yet they didn't hate her. She stepped forward, past Cole, and faced Drex. "You may return to my family and tell them this. I'm not their shame. I'm their mirror, and they don't like what they see." Drex clenched his fists. "You'll regret this." Cole placed a firm hand on her shoulder. "No, she won't. Not while I'm here." Drex turned and walked away, angry but outnumbered. As the crowd began to leave, Ariana turned to Cole. You stood in front of him," she said quietly. "You stood taller," Cole replied. For the first time, Ariana smiled, and this time, she didn't almost smile. She really did. It started with silence, too quiet. Ariana stood near the window, brushing her hair. She had begun to look different. Now clean clothes, calmer breath, a small hope in her eyes. Cole had gone to the market for supplies. She was alone in the house, but for once, she didn't feel afraid, until the silence changed. The birds stopped singing, even the wind outside went still. Then a knock, heavy, slow, wrong. She froze. The door burst open. 5 armored soldiers stormed inside, weapons drawn. Their helmets bore the same royal crest, House Felder, the same house that had called her a traitor, the same people who had cast her out. Irina didn't scream. She backed into the corner, grabbing a chair, not to fight, but to keep something between her and them. "She's here," one of them shouted. A commander stepped forward. His voice was cold. "Aria Novelder, by royal order, you are to be taken dead or alive." She swallowed hard. "I've done nothing wrong. You broke the order of silence. You spoke to the crowd. You revealed your disgrace." "I told the truth," she said, trembling, "which is worse than silence." The commander hissed. 2 soldiers stepped toward her just then. Crash. The front door slammed open again, but this time, it wasn't the soldiers, it was Cole. His shirt was soaked from the rain. His eyes widened when he saw the soldiers circling her. "Step back," one soldier ordered, pointing his blaster at Cole. He didn't stop. He didn't even blink. "She's not going anywhere," he said. The commander turned. "You again. The human, she's under my roof," Cole said firmly. "You'll have to go through me." Irina's eyes filled with fear. "Cole, don't." But he didn't listen. He moved between her and the soldiers, arms wide. One soldier struck him across the face with the butt of a rifle. He fell to his knees, blood dripping from his mouth. "Cole," Irina cried out. Still, he raised his head and said, "You're not taking her." Another strike. He fell again. Irina ran to him, kneeling beside him. "Why would you do this? Why?" Cole looked up at her. Through the pain, he smiled. "Because no one ever stood for me, and I won't let you feel that alone." The commander barked. "Enough. Take them both." Just then something unexpected happened. A voice from outside shouted, "Leave them alone." It was the old alien woman from before. More voices followed. A crowd had formed outside the house. Aliens, humans, neighbors, people who saw what happened days ago when Drex came. People who heard the story. People who saw truth. The commander looked out the window. Dozens of citizens blocked the road. Some held signs. Others held cameras. No weapons. Just eyes. Just voices. "She saved lives," someone shouted. "She helped our children," another yelled. "She's not the disgrace you are." The commander's face twisted with anger. He looked at Cole, bleeding, then at Irina, helping him sit up, then at the crowd, who now recorded everything. He hissed, "This isn't over." He gave a hand signal. The soldiers stepped back as they marched out. The crowd parted, but they didn't stop watching. Back inside, Irina helped Cole to his feet. "You're bleeding," she said. "Yeah," he groaned. "They hit harder than I expected." "You should have run," she said with shaking hands. He looked at her and smiled again, softer this time. "I'd rather bleed than let you be taken." Tears rolled down her cheeks. She wasn't just a traitor anymore. She wasn't a victim either. She was someone people believed in now. And he was more than just a human. He was her shield. As she helped him to the bed and wiped his wounds, she whispered, "They tried to break us, but they forgot something." "What?" he asked with a tired grin. She looked at him, firm and proud. "We're not alone anymore." Cole had never seen a prison cell from the inside before. The walls were cold metal. The bench was hard. No window, no sunlight. Just a blinking red light in the ceiling and a humming noise that never stopped. They arrested him without warning. No trial, no lawyer. No reason except for one. He had protected her. Outside, the alien guards made jokes. So brave. This human. One laughed. For what? A fallen princess. Maybe he thought he'd get a reward. Another smirked. But Cole didn't speak. He sat with a swollen face and dried blood on his shirt, replaying the last thing Irina said to him. "I'll get you out," she had whispered while they dragged him away. "They can lock you up, but I won't let them bury your voice." Meanwhile, Irina stood before a massive screen in a public square. Her hands trembled, but she pressed the button. The screen lit up with an old message video from years ago when she stood in front of her people, pleading for peace. She was younger then, in armor, her voice proud, but shaking. "The humans are not our enemies," the recording said. "They are lost travelers. They have children, wounds, hunger. Please let us show mercy." That message was ignored back then, but today, it played across 5 systems. It went viral. People began talking. Is this the same girl? She saved human refugees. Why was she cast out? Hashtags spread fast across the network. Hashtag Arinaspaketh. Hashtag Free the Human. Hashtag Mercy is not Tresanon. The prison planet. A visitor came. A cloaked figure entered the cell. She pulled her hood down. Ari single quotes. Nah. Cole sat up, shocked. "How did you?" "I told them," she said quietly, "that if they don't let me see you, I'll tell the whole galaxy what really happened to the refugee ship." Cole smiled weakly. "So, you're using pressure?" "No," she said. "I'm using truth." She pulled out a small holodisc and placed it on the ground. It flickered to life. It showed images of Cole defending her, standing between her and soldiers, bleeding, but not backing down. "This played on 10 million screens today," she whispered. "They tried to silence us, but they forgot people are watching now." Just then, heavy boots echoed down the corridor. The warden approached, flanked by 2 guards. "Stand back," he said. The guards opened the cell. Cole was confused. "Where are you taking me now?" he asked, standing slowly. The warden said nothing but handed him a datapad. Cole read the words on the screen. "By public demand and joint agreement of the United Colonial Council and House Velder representatives, human civilian Cole Harrison is to be released immediately. Charges dropped. Case dismissed." He looked at Irina. "You did this." She shook her head. "We did this. Together." Outside the prison, hundreds waited. Alien families, human settlers, journalists, children holding signs. "Mercy is strength." She spoke for peace. "Thank you." Human Cole stepped into the sunlight, blinking hard. Cameras flashed. Questions flew in the air, but he didn't speak yet. Irina stepped beside him. She raised a small mic to her mouth. "I was once called a traitor for helping strangers," she said, voice steady. "But if choosing compassion over cruelty is wrong, then I choose to be wrong every time." Cole finally spoke. "I'm not a hero. I just did what anyone should do. When you see someone broken, you don't walk away. You'll reach out." The crowd cheered. Some clapped. Others cried. The governor of the city appeared on screen and announced, "This court recognizes Cole Harrison's actions as lawful and honorable. And to Princess Aranor, courage has reminded us what it means to lead." Later that night, back at Cole's small home, they sat in silence. Not because they had nothing to say but because peace had finally returned. Irina sipped her tea. Cole cleaned his bandage. They looked at each other and smiled. "I told you," she whispered. "They could gel your body, but not your truth." Cole chuckled. "I told you I don't like being famous." She grinned. "Get used to it." Rain tapped gently against the rooftop. The world had moved on since the day Cole walked out of that prison. The news channels had stopped talking. The crowds had gone home. The signs were packed away, but inside that small house at the edge of the city, something quiet and powerful remained. 2 people, once broken, now rebuilding. Together, Irina stood by the garden bed, sleeves rolled up, fingers dirty with soil. She wasn't used to planting vegetables, but she had insisted on helping. "If I'm staying," she had said, "then I'll work too." Cole leaned against the doorway, watching her. "You'll scare the plants with that serious face," he joked. She smirked, wiping her hands on a cloth. They better grow fast. I still don't trust your cooking. He laughed, a sound that once felt rare in this house, but now returned often. The garden was small, like everything else they owned, but it was theirs. The fence was old. The tools were second-hand, but the piece they had built was brand new. That evening, Cole made a simple dinner: vegetable stew and warm bread. They ate by candlelight, not because the power was out, but because Irina said it reminded her of the stars back home. Not the royal palace, not the throne, just the quiet balconies where she once dreamed of different worlds. Do you miss them? Cole asked softly, slicing a piece of bread. She paused. The stars. Yes. The palace. No. He waited, not pushing. She continued. I miss who I used to be. Before the lies. Before the exile. When I believed kindness was strength, not shame. Cole nodded. That part of you never left. She looked at him, eyes shining. You remind me of that every day. There was silence again, comfortable this time. Then Irina stood and walked toward the shelf. She picked up an old folded cloth, dark blue, with a golden emblem in the center. Her family's symbol. Hausfelder. I kept it, she said, unfolding it slowly. Not for honor, for memory. She held it out. Burn it with me. Cole looked at the cloth, then at her. No, he said gently. Not burn. Not forget. Fold it. Bury it in the garden. Let it grow into something new. Her eyes widened. That's beautiful. He smiled. You helped things grow, Irina. That includes me. Later that night, she sat on the porch alone, a blanket around her shoulders. The moonlight touched her face softly. Cole stepped out, placing a warm cup beside her. Can't sleep? She nodded. I've been thinking about where I belong. He sat next to her, quiet. I don't want to run anymore, she whispered. Not from my name, not from my past. You don't have to, he said. She turned to him. Then let me stay. Not as a guest, not as someone you saved, but as someone who wants to live here, with you. Cole didn't answer right away. He looked at her, really, looked and saw someone who had been wounded, shamed, cast aside, and still stood tall. He reached for her hand. You've always belonged here, he said, even before you knocked. Her voice cracked. I never knocked. He smiled. Then the door opened on its own. Maybe it was meant to. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I don't want a crown, she said softly. I want quiet mornings, tea, laughter, dirt on my hands, stars in my eyes. You forgot one thing, he added. She looked up. What? He grinned. Blanket shared, bed shared. Irina blushed, but didn't move away. Only if you give up the floor. He laughed. Deal? That night, under the same roof where she once felt afraid to breathe, Irina lay in bed beside the human who had carried her out of the shadows. No guards, no chains, no fear, just warmth. She didn't need her title. She didn't need her house. She had found something better, a home, a heartbeat, a second chance. And as her eyes closed, she whispered the words that once seemed impossible to say. Thank you for seeing me. Cole, half asleep, replied, always.